Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and currently in an Airbus type rating. In this video I want to show you how to get the most out of the Fenix A320V2 Block 1 update that has just been released. So, the most important things over here are the new flight model and the new fly-by-wire, and in this video I want to teach you how to make use of them correctly, especially how to correctly fly a fly-by-wire aircraft. I'm sure that many of you will be quite familiar with how to fly conventional aircraft. I'm sure that many of you have already flown the Airbus aircraft before, but there are quite a bit of changes in here, and a lot of them to the very positive, that I do feel the need to make a video to show you just how to operate them correctly. Alright, we're standing on the runway 24 at Paderborn Airport, freeware provided by Aerosoft. And we are going to do a couple of traffic patterns over here, as well as a little bit of air work. So the first thing first, I did say it in my past couple of videos, and it never worked quite as well, so let me just give you a quick update there. In the current version that I'm recording this with, that is version 200, the airplane does rotate a little bit quickly, so when you're rotating, I do suggest to put the side stick marker on about the 5-degree position. Realistic would be 7.5, but Fenix have acknowledged that they are working on a fix for that. So just about something like that. You're looking for a rotation rate of about 3 degrees per second, and it does take a little while to get it right, but with the side stick marker between about 5 to 7.5 degrees, you're usually getting it quite right. Again, if you're watching this video at a later point when Fenix has already released another update, then you're looking at the marker on about the 7.5 degree position. So, the entire rest of it I'm going to explain as we get airborne, so how about we get going straight away. That is our parking brake released and takeoff. And flag 66 SS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. So between 80 and 100 knots, slowly return the side stick to neutral. 100 knots, checked. Then we've got V1, rotate. So about 5 degrees seems to work well. This is a nice 3-degree rotation. Positive climb, gear up. Okay, so now let's start with the specials of flying the fly-by-wire aircraft. I am going to remove the flight director out of view because we don't need this one anymore since we want to learn how to fly it manually. So basically, the airplane is following a 1G flight path, and the first thing we need to understand is how the side stick works. Basically on the side stick you command the plane to do something. So we're about to start our pitch down. Now watch my side stick input as I'm about to lower the nose. So look at this. And this is all the input I need for the plane to react. And you can see now I'm simply letting go of it, and now it maintains the pitch. So small but steady inputs are the key to the entire airplane handling. Now you will notice that the Airbus automatically adopts the pitch in order to correct for flight path deviations. Like now, let's go flap 0. Now watch this. You can see how the Airbus is pitching in response to what I did. Do not manually counteract those automatic inputs from the Airbus. Let's go to 10 degrees pitch right now. And the important thing here is do not automatically counteract those inputs. We see a lot of people doing things like this on the side stick. Well, look at what it actually does. Almost nothing. Instead, do a small and conscious input like this. Okay. A little bit of nose down there. Get the nose down, and that's all you need. And if the Airbus is pitching around a little bit on itself, then don't worry too much about it. Those small pitching inputs are actually done by the Airbus to correct for external disturbances like turbulence, etc. So the Airbus is totally expected to do those. Only correct them if you see that the airplane is consciously deviating from the flight path that you have commanded with the flight stick. So let me show you that in a little bit clearer way. Let's put the bird on. And the bird basically is our flight path vector, as we called it in the Boeing, and that's essentially what it is. So you can see I've commanded a certain bird position, and that is what the Airbus is going to maintain. And if we accelerate or decelerate, then the Airbus is mostly going to correct for it itself. So let's go climb thrust, and let's see what the Airbus is going to do. I'm not touching the side stick. You can see the bird is coming up as the airplane starts accelerating and gains lift, and the airplane automatically lowers the nose a little bit. It is not going to correct entirely for climbs and descents. However, it is applying just about the amount of correction that it needs to maintain 1G. Okay, pulling thrust off again. Let's do the same in a descent now. And once again, the key is not to touch the side stick once you have the required or the desired flight path. And that is how you fly an Airbus. So I know that there are loads of videos out there of people who do all kinds of strong inputs close to the ground, and that is totally not needed. Once the plane is established where you want it to go, don't touch the stick. It is going to fly itself. As you can see, nose is coming back down a bit. And that's just about what we want the plane to do. Okay then, let's roll out on a heading of 060. And again, I'm using one conscious stick input here. Look at that. Now I'm going back to neutral, and the thing maintains wings level. So look at how small of a stick input I'm using in order to control the airplane. And that is all you need. Now why is that? It's basically because when you move the side stick, you command either a G-load if you do something on the pitch axis like so, or you command a roll rate if you do something like this. So regardless of how much control input is actually needed to get the airplane moving, as long as you're in normal law, and I'm assuming over here that you are flying in normal law pretty much most of the time, since flight simulators barely use failures, so as long as you're in normal law, regardless of how much of an input is actually needed on the flight controls in order to get the aircraft going where you want it to go, the computer is going to determine that. And you, as pilot, only do the same input on your side stick, and then the airplane responds by adjusting the amount of control input required to fly that. So that's about as easy as it gets. Right, let's level it back off in 5,000 feet, and I'm once again going to show you my side stick down here in the bottom so that you can see how little of an input I'm going to do. Okay, so tiny bit of stick back. You can barely see the stick moving at all, and this is all that's needed. See? That's about as easy as it is to fly an Airbus. So doing less on the stick is absolutely more. If you look at all those videos from people fighting the side stick with input like this and that, then I can tell you honestly, all you do with it is to self-induce some turbulence. You aren't going to achieve much more. Small and deliberate input, that is what it needs on the side stick to get the airplane where you want it to go. Okay then, let's come back for an ILS approach, and on this one I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on how to fly the aircraft on the final. Okay, so LS, constraints, and then let's quickly enter some destination data. Activate approach phase 1020. Temperature is about 22 degrees. And we'll enter wind calm. Okay, climbing away a little bit. So to correct it, once again, small input, look at the side stick. That's all you need. Okay, and that's as easy as it is to fly an Airbus. So, we're about to turn on to the final. Let's descend to the platform altitude, which in our case is about 3,000. So on the first one, to get acquainted with the airplane handling a little bit better, let's go ahead and use the flight director. That means we need to get out of the bird again. Out of this, we are going to do a touch and go, and then we are going to come back for a visual circuit. And that is what you can use in order to get your airplane, well, in order to get most comfortable with your airplane. So again, the key input is basically hardly to make any input. So, watch this. I'm getting a little bit slow right now, so all I do is a tiny nose down input, and that's all I need to do. Okay, let's go into open descent. So, for the first exercise, we are basically going to follow the flight director, so let me just about turn this to a heading of 180 degrees. And on the approach mode, here we go. So, the first one is basically designed just to acquaint you with the use of the flight director and how to get the best results for you. So we're a little bit above the glide slope right now, so I am going for the full spoilers, and we're going to fly ourselves onto the glide slope with that. So, lock star. Again, simply fly the airplane into the glide slope, or into the flight director. So let's set the altitude down a little bit. Okay, flaps 2, gear down. Localizer alive. And simply follow the flight director. Glide slope should hopefully come alive any moment. I might have gone a little close over here. But that is going to lead us directly into the first exercise. Okay, so alt starboard, you can see the glide slope's coming. I'm just about flying it. Here we go, glide slope star. Okay, flaps 3. And here we go, just put it straight into the flight director. And that's as easy as it gets. And that is the best way of learning how to fly the airplane precisely. Okay. 3,000 foot missed approach altitude set. Ground spoilers armed. And here we go. Okay. That's about as easy as it gets. Now let's have a look into the bigger picture. And here we are, well established. Okay. .500. So obviously not quite a stabilized approach, but then again, we are technically speaking just within the stable approach criteria, even though obviously we had a lot of things coming together here. Okay, so let's fly it down for a nice little touch and go. Remember, at 30 foot the Airbus automatically adds a nose down input, so you want to correct for that. Okay, glide slope seems a little off for me here.
Glide slope.
40, 30,
Okay,
20,
flare.
restart.
Okay, down. Wow, that nose came down a little bit fast there. Okay, flaps one step back. Toga. Man toga SS, go around track, auto thrust blue. V1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Okay then, this time we're going to fly it into a visual pattern. So the visual pattern is quite easy. Obviously, you are free to do as many patterns as you want in order to get the airplane nicely under control, until you feel basically comfortable with the way to handle the side stick. I do have to say, I'm recording this straight after a couple of type rating sessions on the A330, so I am just about quite used to the way the A330 side stick feels, and all of a sudden flying the Fenix feels pretty close to that. So they did a pretty good job. Okay, so let's level it off. Flap 0. Okay, so let's go flight directors off, bird on. And then let's turn into the downwind. So now things are getting a little bit more difficult, in that we now have to maintain the instrument scan flow ourselves. Only start with this part once you're actually used to how the airplane handles and once you feel that you've got good control of the airplane. And once that is achieved, go ahead with the visual circuits as we are about to do just now. Okay, approach phase active, and then we take the Fox India radio in. Thank you. And we're going to fly this one into a full stop landing, because these are the most important exercises that I want you to take away from this. If you're looking for a lot more background and in-depth going into all the manual flight stuff that you can do with the Airbus, then I absolutely recommend you to check out my video on the Fenix fly-by-wire and flight model review that I've released just a few days ago. And you are going to love it. You are totally going to love it. That one I went into about as many details as was technically possible. Okay then. So, we want to fly the visual pattern in 1,500 feet above the field elevation. So you can see field elevation is 700, 1,500 above that makes me go 2,200 feet. And beam the landing threshold, we're going to start our timing, and we're going to count for 3 seconds per 100 feet, so 45 seconds for the downwind. Now you can enter it either with green dot or with flaps 1. I would recommend to go for flaps 1 as it just takes the speed out of things a little bit. Let's go flaps 1 right now, and then we'll start our procedure. So we always maintain a good lookout. Normally, if you are sitting in the left-hand seat, you would fly a left pattern. If you're in the right-hand seat, you'd fly a right pattern. Right now we're going for a right pattern from the left-hand seat, but that is fine as well, as long as you can maintain a good lookout. So, beam the landing threshold now. Let's go ahead and start timing. Here we go. And at 35 seconds, we are going to extend flaps 2. At 45 seconds, we're going to start our base turn. When we're on the base, extend the landing gear and go for flaps 3, and finally we're going to go for flaps full. Now at the moment of the release, the flaps 3 configuration has a little bit of trouble with the Fenix, so for that reason I'm only doing flaps full landing in this video. Normally when you would be on pilot training and doing touch and go training, you would absolutely go for both landing settings. Okay, flaps 2, thrust into idle. So waiting for 45 seconds, which is now, and let's start our final turn. When you're determining the position of your downwind, the easiest thing you can do is just have a look into that 2.5 mile ring on the ND down there, and you basically want to be sure that your runway is just about on the 2.5 mile ring. That gives you a very nice distance from the airport so that you can do a nice base and then a nice final. Okay, so gear down, flaps 3, then let's see where we end up. Over there is the airport, and flaps full. Okay, here we go. So, a little bit high right now, so let's go ahead and put that nose down a bit, and then turn towards the final. What works very well for me when I'm flying visual approaches, I'm kind of drawing an extended center line visually. So going on from here, I can see, for example, that over here should be roughly where the center line is. So now let's adjust the bank in order to fly just over that. So that is how I do it when I'm established on a visual approach. Makes my life a lot easier, to be honest. Okay then, let's fly it right down into the glide slope. Or into the puppy. We are not using glide slope for this. And just because I'm not 100% sure if that bug is fixed, let's turn the glide slope mode off.
1,000.
Alright, we are right on the puppy. So let's go into our landing attitude and pitch and power settings. And here we go. So again, the overall purpose of the exercise is to acquaint you with the manual handling of the airplane and to get you a better feeling for how the airplane is going to respond to your side stick input. And that is what the overall exercise is about. So, nice and stable on the final. Keeping it right on the puppy. And basically at this point you don't need to do any side stick input. My side stick is completely neutral at the moment. Now I'm using a bit of right stick input. Okay, now a little bit of up since we're getting a bit low.
100.
Keep the speed under control. And at 30 foot, start your flare. 2 degrees up. Press idle. And just keep it there. Here you go. That's about as easy as it gets to fly an Airbus fly-by-wire aircraft. And it doesn't really matter if you're flying an A318 or an A380. Things basically work exactly the same on all the Airbus fly-by-wire aircraft because the computers will simply make the airplane fly the same. Now, there is a couple differences, like for example, due to its mass, the A330 has a little bit of delay in the time before it starts reacting to your stick input. So that is something you take into account. The A320 family is going to be a lot more immediate with its responses, but overall that is exactly how the airplane flies, and that is how you should fly the airplane and how you can fly the airplane. So take a few moments, do a couple of exercises like the ones I've shown in this video, and it is going to make you a much better Fenix pilot. Now with the upgraded fly-by-wire and flight model logic, things do fly quite a bit more realistic, so I can certainly recommend you to try this one out. It isn't perfect yet, but it is coming a very, very nice way. Alright, that's it for this video, guys. Do let me know if you like this one and if you're looking for more tips and tricks like this by commenting under the video. If you did like it, then do leave a like in YouTube as well, as it does help with the algorithms. And finally, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one, and in the meantime, this is me chiming off. If you really love my videos, I would appreciate to see you as a channel member, or a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again on the next one.